Let's get started with our first news. What's next for Justin Gaethje after his UFC win? Gaethje made it absolutely clear leading up to his fight that he was laser focused on securing a shot at the lightweight title, and after delivering a strong performance at UFC 313, that goal remains firmly within reach. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video to support the channel. Gaethje stepped into the octagon against the ridiculously dangerous Rafael Fiziev for the second time in the co-main event. Fiziev was stepping in on short notice, adding even more unpredictability to an already thrilling matchup. Given both men's aggressive fighting styles and the absolute war they had back in 2023, fans expected another barn burner, and that's exactly what they got. Fiziev came out strong, surprising Gaethje with a couple of unexpected takedowns, but Gaethje, being the warrior that he is, started mounting more offense in the second round. Later in the frame, he sent Fiziev crashing to the canvas with a thunderous uppercut, and as the fight progressed, Gaethje continued to win more of the exchanges in a non-stop adrenaline-pumping third round. Unfortunately, this fight was not a 5-rounder, but it still delivered in every possible way. After 3 grueling rounds, the judges announced that Gaethje had secured yet another decision win over Fiziev. But now, the big question remains, what's next for the highlight? In recent months, UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev has expressed interest in fighting Gaethje, acknowledging that they have yet to face each other. It makes sense for Islam, who is looking to add new names to his resume. But at the same time, there's been a lot of talk surrounding a potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. So would the UFC tap Gaethje for a title shot, considering he's only 1 fight removed from that brutal knockout loss to Max Holloway? The answer isn't entirely clear, but UFC President Dana White seems to believe Gaethje is still in title contention. With Gaethje currently sitting at number 3 in the lightweight rankings, Dana made it clear at the UFC 313 post-fight press conference that Gaethje is still very much in the mix. I mean, what's he ranked right now? 4th or something, right? Dana asked. After being informed that Gaethje was ranked 3rd, Dana responded, "There you go, he's still the number 3 ranked guy in the world, so the odds of him getting a title shot are pretty good." Gaethje himself made his intentions crystal clear during the post-fight press conference. When asked about what's next, he didn't hesitate. He wants Makhachev. "I mean, I want to fight for the belt, obviously," Gaethje said. "It's a much different matchup than I just had. He's a tough matchup. He's so good, so strong. I have to have a perfect night if I want to beat him." Gaethje even shut down the idea of fighting Dustin Poirier again, stating that neither of their families deserve another war like that. A bold statement from Gaethje, proving that his focus is only on the title. Are you interested in seeing Gaethje versus Islam Makhachev? Drop a comment below and let us know. Moving on to another huge controversy. MMA fans are absolutely furious with the UFC and ESPN Plus over the UFC 313 pay-per-view issues. Thousands of fans who paid for the UFC 313 PPV were left completely frustrated as they found themselves unable to access the event due to major technical issues with ESPN Plus. The outrage spread like wildfire across social media, with fans absolutely blasting the network and the UFC for what many are calling a complete disaster. People who had spent their hard-earned money on the fight were left staring at error messages instead of watching the action unfold. Some tried refreshing their screens, restarting their apps, and even repurposing the event, but nothing seemed to work. To make matters even worse, many reported being charged multiple times while still being locked out of the broadcast. Dana White had no choice but to address the situation at the post-fight presser. When asked about the mess that unfolded, Dana admitted, "Yeah, it made it to me. There were a lot of pissed off people." He acknowledged that the ESPN Plus platform had serious problems, but it was still unclear exactly what went wrong. But it wasn't just the fans who were livid. Several fighters also took to social media to call out the situation. Frankie Edgar was one of the most vocal, taking to X, formerly Twitter, to say, "So I bought UFC 313 twice now, and I can't get it playing, and it charged my card twice. Always something with this app." Other fighters quickly joined in, with Gilbert Burns, Marvin Vettori, and Brendan Schaub all airing their frustrations. Some even suggested that the UFC should demand an explanation from ESPN Plus and make sure this never happens again. This is not the first time ESPN Plus has been criticized for streaming issues, but this time it seems like fans have had enough. The backlash was so severe that many are now calling for the UFC to part ways with ESPN Plus once their deal expires at the end of the year. Fans are saying it's time for the UFC to find a new partner, one that can actually handle the demand of a massive event like UFC 313. So now the big question, what happens next? Will the UFC continue with ESPN Plus despite all the issues? Or will Dana White and the UFC finally listen to the fans and seek out a better streaming platform? What do you think? Should the UFC ditch ESPN Plus and find a new partner? Let us know in the comments. Meanwhile, Ilia Topuria continues to tease a massive fight announcement. Just days ago, Topuria sent the MMA world into a frenzy by dropping a cryptic message hinting at a huge fight, leading fans to speculate that he could be facing none other than the reigning UFC lightweight champion, Islam Makhachev, next. The buzz surrounding Topuria's potential move up to 155 pounds has been exploding, with fans and analysts debating whether the UFC would actually book this fight. Topuria has been undefeated in his MMA career, dominating the featherweight division, but many are wondering, is he really ready to take on someone as dangerous as Islam Makhachev? Despite the intense speculation, when Dana White was asked about the fight at a recent press conference, his response was surprisingly vague. He simply said, "I don't know, probably." That statement only added to the mystery, leaving fans questioning whether Topuria is truly in line for the next lightweight title shot, or if this is just another case of hype with no real fight behind it. So, is Topuria really getting the next lightweight title shot, or is this just more mind games to keep his name in the headlines? If this fight does get booked, it would be one of the biggest matchups of the year. Makhachev has been on a tear, establishing himself as the most dominant lightweight on the planet, and a fight with Topuria would bring a fresh, undefeated challenger into the mix. But considering that Makhachev has repeatedly stated that he doesn't see Topuria as a worthy challenger for his legacy, it remains unclear if this fight will actually happen. Meanwhile, in other massive news, Dana White has just confirmed that he is very confident that the much anticipated Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall fight will happen this summer. After months of uncertainty and back and forth negotiations, Dana assured reporters that Jones wants the fight. It's just a matter of finalizing the details. For a while, there were growing concerns that Jones might not return to the octagon due to his injury, but Dana's confidence has reignited excitement among fight fans. This fight has the potential to be one of the biggest heavyweight showdowns in UFC history. Jones, widely considered the greatest fighter of all time, going up against the fastest rising heavyweight in Tom Aspinall, who has looked nearly unstoppable. So will Topuria versus Makhachev actually happen, and is Jon Jones really coming back this summer? Let us know what you think. Next, Magomed Ankalaev has responded to critics and taken direct shots at Alex Pereira following their highly anticipated clash at UFC 313. After securing the victory, Ankalaev did not hold back when addressing the media, making it absolutely clear that he believes he dominated the fight and that Pereira was running away the entire time. During the post-fight press conference, Ankalaev expressed his frustration with the way the fight played out, saying, "I was confident, I kept moving forward, I kept pressuring him, and he kept running away from me for 20 minutes. This statement was a direct shot at Pereira, who many fans consider one of the most dangerous strikers in the sport. But according to Ankalaev, Pereira's approach to the fight was anything but aggressive. Instead of engaging in the kind of striking war that fans had hoped for, Ankalaev claimed that Pereira spent the majority of the fight backpedaling and avoiding exchanges. And that's not all. Ankalaev also took issue with Pereira's reaction after the fight. The Brazilian champion appeared confused when the decision was announced, suggesting he believed the fight was closer than the judges had scored it. Ankalaev immediately dismissed this notion, saying, "Who else was supposed to win? I was pressuring him the entire time. He was running for 20 minutes. And then he's wondering why I got the victory." Ankalaev made it crystal clear that he felt like he controlled the fight from start to finish, and he strongly disagreed with fans who thought the bout was competitive. In his eyes, the result was never in doubt. He won, and Pereira did not do enough to take the victory from him. Despite his criticism of Pereira's fighting style, Ankalaev did say he is open to an immediate rematch. When asked whether he'd be willing to fight Pereira again, he simply stated, "I never pick my opponents. I'm ready whenever." This is a strong statement from Ankalaev, as he's making it clear that he has no fear of running it back with Pereira. If the UFC books the rematch, Ankalaev seems confident that the result will be the same, if not even more dominant in his favor. So will we see Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 next, or will the UFC look for a new challenger? Let us know what you think. And finally, Joe Rogan has made a huge mistake during the UFC 313 broadcast. The legendary commentator, known for his passion and deep knowledge of the sport, accidentally referred to UFC women's strawweight fighter Yasmin Lucindo as a young man while calling the fight live on air. It was a slip-up that happened in the heat of the moment, but despite Rogan quickly correcting himself, the internet did not let it slide. As soon as the words left his mouth, fans across social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit erupted with reactions. Memes, GIFs, and sarcastic comments flooded the internet, making it one of the most talked about moments of the night. Some fans found the mistake hilarious, while others couldn't believe how such a seasoned broadcaster could make such an error. Many MMA fans joked that Rogan must have been too locked in on the fight to notice what he had said, while others speculated that he might have just been exhausted from the long night of calling fights. One viral post read, "Joe Rogan just called Yasmin Lucindo a young man, bro, what?" Another fan wrote, "Rogan has been on the mic for too long, time to give Bisping more airtime." Of course, this isn't the first time Rogan has made an on-air slip-up, and it likely won't be the last. His high-energy commentary and unfiltered reactions are a big reason why fans love him. But moments like this prove that even the best in the business can have their fair share of blunders. Regardless, it's safe to say that this was a moment that fans won't forget anytime soon. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more MMA updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.